Hey guys, welcome to week 5 of the builds. Time flies, and this week I'm going to try to start and finish all the filleting and put the decks on. It's an ambitious plan, but well, we'll see how it goes by the end of the week. But before we do that, we need to check this for twist. We need to fine-tune the side panel alignments with the bottom, and we need to check the boat for squareness. No jokes, please. So let's start with leveling the hull. Okay, so the boat is leveled now and it shouldn't have any twist whatsoever, but we can double check that by taking a peek from the bow and try to see the transom panel. Basically, you're going to try to see if this aligns with that or if there's a twist in the panels. Okay, first two lines that will come together will be this and the first bulkhead, although this top will still be playing down, but should be square anyway and now parallel. There you go, that looks alright to me. And then the transom. Yeah, that looks alright. And now we need to see that the boat is square. And for that I need to check that the diagonal from this corner to that one is the same as the opposite corners. 3,866. 3,866 to the millimeter, guys. That is really the squarest boat in the world. I have never seen a boat this square, guys. Okay, now I need to make sure that this panel is perfectly aligned with the bottom's edge. So for that I will use duct tape. I already cleaned this as much as possible, get rid of all the dust, because you need this to stick properly. Now you really need to put some tension on this tape and pull it up. That's perfectly aligned, guys. Now just keep going all around. Okay, so I finished taping the hull, as you can see, as I've done it all around. If you're doing mainly taping the panels and less zip ties, you're gonna need a lot more tape, as you can see in the drawing. In this case I don't, I think that's enough. I don't know how long the tape can hold or if it will stretch eventually, so I would advise placing the tape just before you start filleting. In my case I think this is enough. I have also put some masking tape there on the inside because I'm going to do all the filleting today in the areas that are not visible after the boat is fully assembled. That includes here. This doesn't have to be too accurate, like I said. You won't even be able to see that most of the times. And the same here under the mid seat. The rest of the fillets I will do tomorrow after these ones are dry, so I can cut the zip ties. That will allow me to do a smooth fillet without any bumps on the zip ties. Okay guys, now this is where the build can get messy, so prepare everything beforehand so you don't have to be rushing around. We're going to be mixing larger quantities of epoxy, which means if you leave it in the cup for too long, that will start to heat up, it will boil and go hard and you can't use it anymore. So take your time, calm down, prepare all your stuff, make sure all your tools are ready. I have made a filleting stick. This is just plywood, rounded to 18mm radius and then smoothed out with sandpaper. That's like a chisel-like stick, so I can get rid of the excess epoxy, or you can just use one of them plastic squeegees if you still have one. And this is the filleting sticks for the bow, because it's too shallow angle, you can't do a round, so we're going to do a straight fillet. Well, that would be a chamfer, I think. For dispensing the epoxy, I've got these baking icing cream dispenser bag things. They are not cut at the tip, so I can choose the thickness of the bead I'm about to use. I don't know which one it is, to be honest. I'm going to start small, do a small portion, drag the filleting stick and see the excess, if I need to cut more or not. If you can't find those, which I doubt you can't, I also bought these. I found these funny. These are candy party bags. They're exactly the same shape. Again, they are uncut, of course, and you can use those as well. If you can't find any, just grab any Ziploc bag. I use those for my goat's build and it worked fine. Right, I'm starting with 250 grams of epoxy for the first try. These are, of course, bigger cups. If this works all right, maybe we can increase the amount of epoxy we mix in one go. Okay, that needs to be a bit thicker than when you mix microfibers just for gluing purposes. I think that's enough. And these things are maybe a bit too small. Maybe I need bigger ones. Okay, let's try this. Let's try the stick, see if that's enough or if we need to get more epoxy cut. Yeah, that's not enough, look. Okay, that's better. Well, remember that think ahead plan? I didn't. I just forgot that I usually apply some just clear epoxy to the gluing area. Let's go. We need to get rid of this thing or get this bag empty as quick as possible. Once it's here and it's spread, you have a longer time to work with it. Otherwise, it will get warm and you're screwed, basically. Alright guys, sorry I didn't show you the whole first fillet, but battery ran out and I couldn't really be taking gloves off and all that to handle the camera. So let me show you how much fillet I was able to make with 250 grams of epoxy. So it was enough for the fillet starting there, all the way there, that one, and then all the way there. So that's 250 here plus 250 there, there and there. That's 1 kilo for the side fillets on the 4 panels. Okay, I'm gonna try and make this not as thick as the other one. It needs to be thicker than glue, but I think that one was a bit too much. I don't know any other way of doing this. This is messy, but there you go. Whoa. My poor tripod is absolutely covered in epoxy from my gloves. Okay, now we need the flat filleting stick. Okay, I think this is a bit too soft. Alright guys, as you can see here, things have gone terribly wrong with these fillets. It's brown now because I've added some microspheres, but that's not a problem. The problem is that this putty was way too soft and it wants to run down. See, it's piling up on the zip ties and is going down from the vertical surfaces and running to the horizontal ones. That's not good at all, so I'm gonna wait some. When it starts getting harder, I'll come here with the filleting stick, see if I can put it in place again, because it's just, look, it's sagging. See where the zip ties are? It wants to run down, so it's not looking good, but worst case scenario, I'll have to put a bit more over this one before it gets dry, and then run the filleting stick again. Okay, that's much better. Right here, I need to pull this in. So I've marked on this piece of wood the exact width that it should be, or the cockpit should be. So okay, that's the fillet's done. Now, before they cure, you need to check that this is still aligned, because you can still move the boat. You need to check for twist as well, and you need to see if it's square. Do the diagonals again. At this stage you can still move and make the boat work. After they dry, well, they dry in place, don't they? Check that the distance between this line and the panel is more or less the same, or at least, in the worst case scenario, it's not the same there and here, but at least it's not wobbly. Okay, the day after the first fillets, I've got my mixed feelings with this, to be honest. The inner ones worked okay. They're not perfect, but I'm happy with them. I wasn't too worried anyway, because they're inside the tank. The ones under the forward deck, well, that's a completely different story. That's horrible. Let's have a look at all of them. So these fillets here, they are okay. They're not as smooth as the ones on my Got Allen skiff, but I wasn't worried with these ones, so that's what they look like. Now these ones here, damn, that was a nightmare. Here on the vertical surfaces, the fillet has run down, and instead of having a fillet that's distributed evenly between the horizontal and the vertical, so a nice fillet, you have the putty running down and piling up more on the horizontal than on the vertical. Not everywhere, but I mean here it's, yeah, you can still feel it's not concave here, it's almost convex in some places, like here. So it's not perfect, I'm glad I've got extra fillets on the other side, and those are okay. I better do well, a better job on the cockpit fillets, because this is horrible. Okay, now I will remove all the zip ties, and hopefully that will allow me to make smoother fillets on the inside as well. As you can see here, the transom isn't that straight, so I'm going to try and clamp a piece of wood on this side and another one here to hold it in place. Now I'll super glue it. This will hold it temporarily until I can do the fillet inside, and then of course later on there's going to be a glass cloth here that's going to come up an inch or so. So this just needs to hold it straight for now. You can also just screw this to the transom. Put a screw from the inside, screwing on this, and just put a bit of plywood or something on the other side so the screw head doesn't go into the transom. I've just been eyeballing these tapes, to be honest, but now this one is harder to judge from this position. Even if the boat's on the floor, still will make it much easier, so let's try to find a way. Not exactly perfect, but for the purpose that will do. Tapes are done. Let's finish this filleting thing, which I really don't like, to be honest, but it's part of the build, so. Okay, let's keep a happy face while I do this filleting business. First, epoxy on those areas, and then I can have a lot of fun with the epoxy and microfibers. Okay guys, I'm done with the filleting. Yes! Well, most of it anyway. I'm not that happy with the fillets, to be honest. You can see the texture of the microfibers. Probably my last ever filleting boat. It's just not my thing. It's not as enjoyable as frame on, or plywood on frame, to be honest. But big advantage on weight. Okay, we've got the fillets finished and dry now. They don't look too bad, just not as smooth as I would want them to be, but okay, I had planned to put the decks on this week, but of course I forgot. I still have the mast partner and mast step to make, so, and fit in place, so I guess change of plans. What a surprise. Okay, so the weather turned to crap, I'm actually worried about my cruiser all alone in the mooring. Okay, now I'm gonna make the mast partner and mast step. And because I don't have any wide Paulownia boards, I'm gonna have to laminate some. And since I'm doing that, I'm going to take advantage and make the lightweight version of the mast partner. You can see one in the pictures in the manual. And the mast step will be as well 45, 45, 45, which is only a few mil narrower than the ones in the plans, but I think it's okay. Okay, the mast step is created with making a sandwich of plywood, wood and plywood again. Now, these parts and the wood need to be glued together first, then you make the cutout for the mast, and only then you can glue the bottom one. The bottom one doesn't have any holes. This is a reinforcement of the bottom to take the pressure created by the mast and the downhole. One mast step. Mast partner and step done. Time to work on the center case. I've applied some clear epoxy here on the gluing areas, and now I'm mixing some microfibers so I can glue the cleats on the bottom and top of the center case. Okay, as you can see here, this is shorter because this is the top, and you will need to make a cutout here about 19 by 45 for the mid seat reinforcement. You can always opt for to leave all of them full length. That way you won't mess up, because you need to be sure that this is the top. So if you leave it full length, you can then cut the notch with the cleats in place anyway. If you put the shorter one on the bottom, well, not much you can do then. Okay, center case is glued. That's it, guys. That's all I've got time for today. This week I worked, first day filleting was 3 hours, then another 3 hours on the second day, and today approximately 3 hours as well. So that's 9 hours for this week, and now I'm ready for a shower. See you next week.